The UN-backed joint mission investigating the chemical attack in Syria's Idlib province back in April has found government forces to be responsible. The watchdog says they have looked into various scenarios, questioned hundreds of witnesses, and examined thousands of pictures and files. However, they did stress they never made it to the site of the attack.
The leadership panel has identified ISIL as responsible for the use of sulfur mustard in Khosh, and the Syrian Arab Republic as responsible for the use of sarin at Khan Sheikhoun. The study showed that the samples from Khan Sheikhoun match with a particular chemical from the Syrian Arab Republic stockpile that is required to make sarin.
All right, RT correspondent Caleb Maupin has got more on the story and joins us live now. Caleb, thanks for being with us. So tell us the details of what was said during that meeting.
Well, after we heard from the report of the OPCW, after that we heard from Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador of the United States. Now, she escalated her rhetoric against the Syrian Arab Republic and seemed to be rallying the council to prolong the work of the joint investigative mechanism. This is Nikki Haley.
The GIMS report not only identifies those behind the chemical attacks, it also explains how it reached its conclusion. It lays out in great detail how the team carried out this challenging investigation. And just as any independent team of experts would, it makes note of any irregularities it found in the information obtained from the investigation.
Now, the Russian ambassador was quite critical of the report and laid out before the council how many ways in which the OPCW conducted their investigation were unsatisfactory. He went into a lot of detail. This is what he had to say.
The investigators carried out their work remotely. The report is full of omissions, inconsistencies, and discrepancies of very mediocre quality. There is a question as to the samples collected by third parties and whether they are from Syria at all. It is unclear how the sarin was transported and used. Also, a visit to Shayrat Air Base would be crucial to prove if sarin was there and to find out who is responsible for the attack. In other words, it was the GIMS task to find this out.
Now, the Russian envoy pointed out that at no point did the OPCW team actually visit the site of the chemical attack in Khan Sheikhoun. He urged the world to imagine a criminal investigation in which the scene of the crime was never visited by the investigators. Now, from there, he also went on to point out that the third parties that were relied upon by the OPCW, some of the sources were a little bit less than credible. For example, the White Helmets, who are known to have links to the al-Nusra terrorist group, were cited and used as a source in the report. Now, the United States has said that it's open to negotiating a possible future UN Security Council resolution regarding Syria, and we have heard from the European Union. The European Union is saying it wants new sanctions against the Syrian Arab Republic in response to the OPCW's report presented at the Council.
All right, RT's Caleb Maupin there for us, keeping across this story now as more information becomes available. I know that you're going to stay across it for us. Thanks for being with us. Now, amidst all this, we have spoken to an expert who believes the report is based on fundamental mistakes and flaws. Take a look.
Let me give you an example. They have this crater. The crater is allegedly where according to claims, a Russian-designed chemical bomb was dropped and a sarin release occurred from it. Now, if you drop a bomb that is designed to release chemicals, you will find around the area where the release occurred large pieces of the bomb. This is not an explosive bomb. It doesn't detonate and create many fragments. It's a canister that is filled with a chemical that's a liquid that looks a lot like water and behaves a lot like water, and it's got a small explosive charge in it. And the explosive charge ruptures the canister so that the material will fall out on the ground. Now, any place where this kind of munition is used, the remnants of the munition will be there.
All right, to further discuss this situation, we are joined live now by Ivan Eland, U.S. defense analyst and author. Ivan, thanks for being with us here on RT International. So, interesting developments. The report was released before, just being discussed now by the United Nations. How do you view the findings of the investigation?
Well, of course, you're investigating something on an active battlefield, so it's not always possible to visit the site. And of course, as your report pointed out, visiting the site like a criminal investigation is a big help in investigations like this. It doesn't mean that it's impossible to find out, who did this, but it sort of is a problem, I think.
So you bring up a good point about, an active battlefield. In fact, Russia's deputy envoy to the United Nations has drawn attention to several examples of why the results may be faulty. Why do you think that these examples were not considered during the investigation?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the details of his critique. He says that there's omissions, et cetera, and I would have to see his specific critique of this. But I will say that both sides, this has been a nasty, mean conflict on both sides, and I don't think either side is blameless. However, chemical weapons don't really kill that many people on the battlefield. Now, you can make an argument that it's a prohibited way of warfare, and it's indiscriminate, but so are, bombs and bullets and that sort of thing. So many civilians have been killed in this war by both sides on purpose. And I think the terrorists in Syria, the terror groups, have used sulfur mustard, which is a more primitive gas than sarin. So I think there's enough blame to go around on all sides.
And certainly no one is blameless in the world or the theater of war, that's for sure. One of Russia's main points is the fact that they didn't actually go to the site to investigate the site specifically itself, making a lot of their evidence hearsay or the equivalent thereof. What do you make of that?
Well, like I said, it would be better if they had that evidence, because I think, if you're going to examine things, you need to look at the residue, the ground, et cetera, around this, where this was allegedly dropped, since it's a chemical substance. So I think it's, it's a problem. Now, whether it nullifies the investigation, that's another matter for the technical experts to sort out. I think there is some hope that the United States is saying, hey, we could have another, some sort of a negotiation on the entire Syrian matter. I'm not sure sanctions against anybody are going to do much good other than symbolism. And of course, the EU is always very big on symbolism, but I'm not sure, the sanctions that they're proposing are the way to go. I think if there should be a way to solve this whole problem and prevent all sorts of death, whether it's from chemical weapons or just bombs and bullets, which have killed far more people on the battlefield, probably 90% to 10% versus chemical weapons. So I think, that's the way to go, instead of, blaming one side or the other here.
All right, very interesting to hear your thoughts. Hopefully there is some hope on the negotiation front between the U.S. and Russia. Ivan Eland, U.S. defense analyst and author, always interesting to hear your thoughts. Thanks for being with us here on RT International.